All right, hello everybody. It's the Meista from Brews and Tunes. I am here today, very excited. I am chatting with Mr. Erik Nelson, lead guitarist of Vektor. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Great. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great, man.
Excellent.
How about you?
Good. Doing good.
Right
You know, got a beer. It's sitting outside, talking metal with a professional musician.
Cloudy and rain. Come on. I'm just a guy, you know. I just mash my fingers way up high on the tiny strings, my friend.
Nice.
That's all I do.
Well, why don't we start with what's going on now with the band and what you guys released this past year. You released a split, an EP and a split.
Correct.
So 2 new tracks, killer tracks, by the way.
Thank you.
So that came out again, 2001. But yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about that, kind of how that all came together? Because the band had actually split up for about 4 years, and
about
roughly,
3-ish, 3.5, something like that.
So yeah, how did that all come together?
Dave and I, I think the first thing that got us talking again was just sending a few emails back and forth, and we sent riff ideas to each other here and there, just to be like, hey, this is what I'm working on. No intentions of like restarting or getting things rolling, but then we had a lot of good conversations over the following months, and I was in Arizona back home visiting family for, I think it was Christmas, and we got together, hung out a few times, and it felt good. We were like, I don't know, let's get things rolling again.
Cool.
And that's pretty much how it happened. Nothing was planned. It didn't happen because of some big thing. It was just 2 guys who missed each other, missed playing music together, and all the past bullshit that we went through together is in the past. So we're moving forward, making things just totally right with each other, and it's been awesome.
That's great. It sounds very organic too. Like,
exactly.
Just kind of.
That's the word I was looking for.
Nice.
It was just a very organic kind of transition into this new phase.
Nice. That's great. And you've got 2 new members of the band, Steve Kuhn and Mike Olson, bass player and drummer, respectively. How did you guys hook up with them? Did you know them already, or how did that all play out?
I didn't know them because I live here in Utah with you. Not with you, but so David met Steven at, I believe it was a Blood Incantation show, who fucking rule, by the way.
Yeah,
of course.
great
If
band.
you haven't checked them out, obviously, you gotta check them out.
Yeah.
And I believe Steven showed David a cover video of Dying World, and cool. David was just blown away. I saw the cover after that, because he sent it to me. He was like, hey, what do you think about this guy on bass? And I was just like, what the fuck? How is this even possible? That someone can play this well with their fingers? Because our old bassist, Frank, lovely man, love him to death. He's still one of my best friends. He played with a pick, for anyone that didn't know that. So seeing someone play parts that we had written and learned with his fingers, it's pretty mind-boggling to be able to see that and now play with him and watch him do that on stage and at practices. It's really cool. And then Mike, good old Mike, he plays in another couple bands out in Arizona. He has a band called the Animus Project. I believe that's what it's called. If it's not, Mike, I'm sorry. But I'm pretty sure that's it. And then he also plays with our good friends in Warhead, who we kind of grew up together in the Arizona thrash scene back in the late 2000s.
Yeah.
That thing. So we found him through those guys, and kind of, sorry Warhead, we stole Mike from you, but that's how we found him.
Nice.
And it all worked out really well. The first practice we had with both of them was astounding. Dave and I were looking at each other the whole practice, just like, what's going on? These guys are better than we are. So it was really cool, and they're very special players in their own right, and it's cool. It's amazing to be playing with them.
Yeah, I love the EP. The new music is fantastic, and it's great because when you hear it, you're like, okay, yeah, this is Vektor. But then there's some new elements, some new dynamics, I guess I would say, that I haven't heard before from Vektor, which I thought was very cool and very interesting. Especially Dead by Dawn starts off very slow,
Yeah.
and has clean vocals, which is new for me in terms of Dave, and
Right. Well, it kind of has that Collapse vibe a little bit.
Yeah,
From
yeah.
Terminal Redux.
But very cool
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, really interesting. So, of course, that leads to my next question: is there an album in the works?
Of course.
Awesome.
Of course. Yeah, we get that question all the time. I don't even know how many messages I get with just that same question. It's like, yeah, we're still working on something. Don't worry, guys. It's just we take a long time to write because we're perfectionists. We want to create the best piece of music possible for people to enjoy, hopefully.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you have, maybe it's too early, do you have a target date, or you anything
No
at
target
this
date
point?
yet.
Okay.
We're still cranking out the songs and the riffs. I'd say we probably have 4 solid songs that are mostly done,
Okay.
and another 3 to 4 in the works that
Nice.
are coming along really well.
Excellent. Are the 2 tracks on Transmission Chaos, are they part of it, or is that their own separate thing? That was just its own thing.
We've talked about doing something again with Dead by Dawn, re-recording parts, doing some stuff, but I don't know what we're going to land on yet, to be quite honest. Activate's its own thing. That was just for the EP and for the split.
Gotcha.
And we initially planned Dead by Dawn to be, but now we're thinking it might be part of the concept, so it would fit with the new concept of the album that we're writing right now.
Okay,
But
nice.
it's up in the air. I don't know for sure yet.
Cool.
We're still talking it over.
So it will definitely be a concept album, as the previous albums have
the
been.
plan.
It sounds like cool.
That's the
Yeah,
plan.
which is great. I love that, and it lends itself so well to kind of the sci-fi vision that you guys have in terms of Vektor, and also I think musically, with a technical progressive thrash metal scene,
It just kind of fits, right?
Yeah, it works really well. I think that was the thing that we were talking earlier before the interview, that and I'm so bad with names and times and dates and everything, trying to remember which album I bought first. But it was, by sight.
Yeah.
I had heard of Vektor, but I saw the album cover, which if it was, Outer Isolation or Terminal Redo, I can't remember which one it was, but
Right.
I saw it and said, I have to own that. I don't know what this sounds like, but I have to own it. And I asked the record store owner, I'm like, do you know anything about this? He's like, yeah, it's technical thrash metal. I'm like, well, I'm sold. That sounds great. So I'm in.
Just
I
those
love
2
thrash
words,
metal.
huh?
Yeah, like I got to hear this. And I was immediately transfixed by.
Were you at the show in 2016 at Metro?
No, I missed that.
Bummer.
Unfortunately,
That was a fun one. That was election night.
Oh yeah.
When
Oh cool.
Trump got elected. That was a rough one. That
Yeah.
was definitely a rough one. We were kind of out of our elements because we found out literally about 12 minutes before we played. So it was just
wow.
like we got on stage and we're all bummed, and the crowd's kind of bummed,
All right.
and so we're just like, yeah, tonight sucks. Let's just fucking go.
Yeah.
Let's just play.
Nice. Who did you play with? Do you remember?
Who did we play with then? Our buddies Deathblow.
Oh okay. Oh yeah. Great band.
I believe Necrowolf was on the show too. I think they opened.
Oh okay.
And then I feel like there was another band that I'm missing, but I don't know any of the members in it, so I can't remember the name for the life of me. I'm sorry, whoever that you guys were that opened for us back then, but I'm blanking on the name.
But yeah,
It was a great
show.
show.
Yeah. I'm sorry I missed that. I wish I.
I'm sorry too, man.
Yeah, that would have been cool. That's too bad. I don't know how I missed that.
It happens.
Yeah,
Life.
yeah. And like I said, I mean, I was, whichever album it was that I picked up, I was immediately transfixed. I mean, and really, and I'm not kidding. It was the guitar work was what pulled me in right away. It was your incredible guitar work. It had such a different sound. I mean, there's still that traditional thrash metal vibe to it, but there's the technical elements, the progressive elements of it. It was really eye-opening, and just one of those things where it kind of stopped me in my tracks. There's those albums that you listen to where you can play it, be doing whatever, and I think with Vektor, anytime I put Vektor on, I can't be doing other things because I paint. I paint and listen to music a lot, and I find myself, especially with Terminal Redo, I'll be painting and I'll put it on, and then I find that I'm just sitting down and sipping on my beer and listening to the album and not painting anymore and just listening.
Well, I'm both sorry and thankful that happens to you.
It's a good thing. It's a good problem to have, I think.
Right.
It's because it's just and every time I listen to your music, regardless of the album, I always find something new that I maybe missed before, just something that I kind of glom onto
the
a little
layers.
bit. Yeah, it's they have very cool layers and very interesting. So I was curious about kind of in terms of your style, how did you develop that? What were you listening to? Because there are other technical and progressive thrash metal bands out there, but nobody sounds like Vektor at all, in my opinion.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I've never, I mean, there are people now, I think, trying to emulate you guys, but
thank you for that, by the way. That's incredibly flattering.
But when I first heard you guys, I mean, I had never heard anything like that before. I mean, like I said, there's that, old school thrash thing going on, but there's a lot more happening. So yeah, how did you develop that sound?
A lot of this goes into David. He's 80% of the writing, honestly. So credit where credit is due. He is the machine behind most things. And but we have a lot of shared and mutual influences. Obviously Voivod, we still get flack for that here and there. It's like, oh, baby Voivod. Cool. Thanks. We love those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not trying to rip them off in any way. We just love them, and it's an influence.
Yeah.
And we try not to wear it too heavily, but they are an influence, so it comes out. Big Destruction fans.
I love Destruction.
Obviously, fucking great. Watchtower was big for us. Love those guys. Another one that came to us sometime after Black Future, we heard about this band called Aspid from Russia, and that became more of an influence for us as well. So a lot of the more obscure and really underground thrashier stuff.
Cool.
And that proggy weirdness. And of course we loved a lot of the classics like Pink Floyd and Rush. And I think that comes out in a lot of the tunes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people even said the middle section in Recharging the Void sounds like a Pink Floyd song.
It does have that, it does have that vibe to it, yeah.
What song is it? I can't even think of it right now. Do you know what I'm talking about by chance?
I'm so bad with titles.
Yeah.
I get things mixed up in my head sometimes.
I'm blanking on it. Doesn't matter. But a lot of that kind of stuff. And I don't know. A lot of those influences pushed together might seem like they don't work, but then you hear us, and to me, I don't know, I think we sound pretty cohesive overall.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And very dynamic. Lots of rises and falls.
Yeah.
And as you were saying earlier, it keeps people interested and it kind of captivates them.
Yeah.
And I can't even express how thankful I am for that, because music that captivates me, that's what's special.
Yeah.
So if it can turn your entire attention to it and keep it, I'm thankful that people connect with that and agree.
Well, like I said, I think there's some really great, and I hate the whole genre. I mean, this neo thrash, I don't know what you call it, like the newer thrash bands, the new wave of American thrash, that
Whatever
came out in the
is,
2000s. And there's some great bands, a lot of great bands. But I think, Vektor was so much different from everybody else. And, some of those bands, killer bands, but, and they purposely want to sound like old 80s thrash bands, which is great. I love that. That's what I grew up on.
Exactly.
But it was, for me, Vektor was very refreshing because it was something so different than anything else I was listening to.
Right. It kind of worked in our favor a little bit, being the oddballs, the black sheep, in a bunch of black sheep, like the blacker sheep.
Yeah. And that is an interesting, and I don't mean to get into any sort of negativity about this, but and it's frustrating. And I've talked to other new wave of thrash metal, American thrash metal bands about this, the kind of the frustration with the older thrash metal bands not really, or some of them anyway, some of the big ones, we won't name names, but kind of not even seeming to care about these younger bands, and even taking them on tour or anything, like just like kind of writing them off almost, or well, I'll name names. Dave Mustaine for one. In a magazine interview, like ripping on new thrash metal bands and kind of making fun of them, and and I love Megadeth, they're like, dude, what are you doing?
Which is interesting because they brought Havoc along on tour. And they're a newer band. Some of my closest friends, they're all great people, and I heard some stuff. That's all I'm gonna say.
It was odd. It was an odd. I found it odd, but we don't have to go there. But imagine if Diamond Head was like, oh yeah, fuck these thrash metal bands, these American,
Right.
you know, I could be, you know, and, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely strange because I feel like if we ever got to a point like that, I would want to do that
Yeah.
for people and for bands that I love that are newer.
Yeah.
Because I'm still finding new stuff all the time that just floors me.
Right.
And I'm like, holy fuck, I wish either we could tour together or just something like that in the near future. Because it's like a lot of these bands nowadays are really stepping up their game.
Yeah.
People thought we were stepping up our game, and I mean, again, as I said a few minutes ago at the start of this, I'm just a fucking guy who plays guitar, and people happen to connect with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to get jaded, and if we ever got to that next status level where we could really bring bands on tour and actually help them and build them a following and everything, that's what I would love to do.
Cool. Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that we can keep growing and pushing on that, and keep moving forward in that direction where we could be those bands that help people.
Nice.
Help the
Very
smaller
cool.
guys.
Little change of direction here. You guys have a big tour coming up, right?
Yes.
This fall. Yeah.
Yep.
We can talk about that a little bit.
Big old European tour, about 5.5 weeks.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty nuts. I think we're doing 31 shows in 37 days or
Oh,
36
wow.
days, something like that.
Wow.
It's packed. It is jam-packed.
Nice.
But yeah, we're going all over. It's our first time back to Europe since 2016. So
Excellent.
I think there's a couple people that are kind of stoked, you know,
Yeah.
like maybe 3.
It's a lot more than that. Are you doing festivals? Or are you doing actually a
Mostly
like
club shows.
Club shows.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, a couple festivals. We're doing Vienna Metal Meeting,
Oh, nice.
and I think one other one, but I, for some reason, am brain dead today and can't think of important stuff like that.
Are you, as far as the club shows, is it a tour with other bands? Or do you
Yes.
guys, like,
The band that we are bringing with us is Cryptosis from our split.
oh, great.
Yeah,
Excellent.
they're on with us for the entirety of that tour.
Nice.
We played with them when they were formerly Distillator.
Okay.
They were on our first European tour with, it was them, Angelus Apitrata, and us. And that tour was still one of the best tours that I've ever been on. And I love all of those guys in those bands
Nice.
infinitely. They are some of the best people on earth.
That's great.
So-
That's cool. Are there any European bands that'll be playing any of these shows along with you guys?
Yeah, we're bringing, who else is with us? Algebra and, oh my God, there's one other. Who else is with us? Need to look it up. There's another band with us. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know you're with us, but I can't think of the name right now. Why am I blanking on this? This is a great interview. I'm doing awesome right now.
No, you're great. You're good. You're good. And I can edit as well.
Yeah. Maniac. Those are the guys.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
I don't know why I couldn't think of your guy's name. I'm sorry. But yeah, we're bringing them along for the first 4 weeks of or 3.5 weeks,
Okay.
and then the last week and a half is just us and Cryptosis.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. The festival that you're playing, who else is playing in that?
That's a good question. I haven't even looked at the flyer.
Oh, yeah.
I was told, hey, we're doing this festival, and
Oh, okay. Cool.
I was like, awesome. I can't wait. Sweet. I can't wait to see who's on it. And then I never look it up.
Nice. Oh, that's cool.
I mean, I have a kid and I have a life outside of
yeah. You got.
all this. Unfortunately, I wish I could make it my life again, but it's going to take a little while to get us back to that point.
Right.
And so I just am not quite up to date, even on my own stuff, to be quite honest. Trying to do the whole family man thing while having a full-time job and then a band on top of all that.
Yeah, that totally
It gets
makes
hectic.
sense. Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with the tour and trying to juggle all of that. That's
Yep.
that's
It's
tricky.
fun.
Yeah. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah.
And tell me about getting started in music. Did you come from a musical family? What was the catalyst for you playing guitar? How did you start?
Yeah, my dad was the big influence. He's always been a singer, but he could play a little bit of guitar growing up. He taught me some chords, basic stuff when I was super little, I don't know, 9, 10, somewhere around there. And then I kind of took off with developing my skills at around 12 when I found Metallica for the first time, like
Oh, okay.
most young guitar players that fall into metal. and it just kind of went uphill, downhill, I don't know, whichever, from there. But I owe a lot of it to my dad.
Cool.
Yeah, I've always been interested in music. My mom obviously was a huge music fan as well, and she got me into a lot of my early kind of metal-y stuff, like Black Sabbath. She was super into them. Got me Paranoid when I was 12 or 13.
Nice.
So my parents were very cool and super supportive of me the entire time. I played in a bunch of garage bands growing up. I think I started my first band with my friend Adam, who was our first drummer in Vektor.
Oh, okay.
Long time ago. We had our first garage band when we were 13, I believe.
Nice. That's
so,
great.
Yeah, it's been a bit. It's been a while doing this kind of stuff.
Nice. That's cool. How did Vektor come into play? How did you guys meet? How did that all start?
So David found our old drummer Adam. I think it was through some web posting. I don't remember exactly how. Maybe a Craigslist. I wasn't part of it at that point, but this was just a couple months before I joined, and Adam brought me in to just see a practice. And he gave me, at the time, the Nucleus demo that hardly anyone has anymore. But, so if anyone has that, send it to me, by the way.
And me as well.
Yeah, right. This guy deserves it. So I heard that before I even joined, and I was actually a fan before I joined the band.
Oh, cool.
And I heard this stuff, and I was like, holy shit, this is special. I want to play this stuff. And I ended up coming to pretty much every practice since then. At that point, it was just David and our first bass player, whose name is Pablo Ortega. Lovely guy, still good friends with him. And then Adam on drums, and they were looking for another guitar player, so Adam brought me in. And I started learning the song Moonbase, which is 13.5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first song I ever learned,
Wow.
which was quite a task. But after that, there was not really any talk of me joining. It was just like, hey, do you want to learn riffs? And I would stay after they would get done jamming, and they would show me riffs. And then he finally asked me, like, hey, do you want to join? And I said, fuck yeah, I want to join. I think this is really special music. And it took a little while for us to gain some traction because our recordings didn't quite match the level of playing that we were actually at. And we just had like mediocre recordings. Unfortunately, we didn't want to, but that was just kind of the way it happened because we were poor, first starting out. It's usually what happens.
Yeah.
So once we got Black Future out, that's when things really took off. And from there, it's just been an amazing uphill ride, and people, like I keep saying, have connected with what we do so well.
Nice.
And to a really deep level. And that's the thing that means the most to me, is that people connect with the music so heavily, and like it hits them in the heart.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of music I want to make. I want to impact someone's life.
That's great. That's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how it should be. I think.
So I
with
appreciate
everybody.
every single one of you who is listening now and who isn't, and anyone who does listen. It means everything. So thank you.
Yeah.
You're one of the people. So appreciate you.
Thank you. Yeah. Keep doing what you guys are doing. It's great. Yeah.
We're gonna quit right now.
No. What you mentioned, as far as your influence, your father, your parents,
Yes.
And of course Metallica. Are there other? And this is probably a really loaded question, but yeah, are there other guitar players that kind of, in terms of your writing, in terms of your style, that have influenced you over the years and still do?
Me personally, absolutely. Dave's a different story. I mean, we talk about it enough, but I'm not going to speak for him. So for me, my biggest guitar influence was John Petrucci.
Oh, cool.
Dream Theater.
Oh, okay. That makes
Still
sense.
one of my favorite bands. I haven't listened to a lot of their newer stuff because I just kind of fell off the face of the earth for a long time with metal and listening to newer stuff, but I'm getting back more into it.
Cool.
But yeah, Dream Theater was a huge influence for me while I was growing up, from 13 to now, basically, too.
Nice. Yeah.
Symphony X, Michael Romeo.
Oh, yeah.
Still one of my favorite players. I've met him a couple times out on the road in festivals. He's an incredible person, super funny, just a total lovable goofball.
Nice.
So yeah, those are two of my biggest from back in the day.
Nice.
Nowadays, there's a lot of Instagram guitar players who are just pushing the envelope so much, like Steven Taranto. He plays in, oh my God, My brain just doesn't want to work today with remembering band names. He plays in a band, but he also does solo stuff.
Okay.
And he is, I personally believe he's the best guitar player on earth right now.
Oh, okay.
Like where Jason Becker would be if he never got Lou Gehrig's disease.
Right, yeah, okay.
And he's just phenomenal. And there's a bunch of other players like him in that vein that play like him that are just incredible to watch. And so a lot of those guys, they keep me on my toes, and I'm never going to match their skill level because they're worlds beyond me now. But I mean, I don't
know about that.
No, I promise you they are. I promise you. But yeah, a lot of these newer guys, some of my favorites currently in like the full-on metal scene are Brandon Ellis from Black Dahlia.
Oh yeah.
Dave
great.
Davidson, Revocation, Reese Scruggs from Havoc, and Yadran Gonzalez from Ex Mortis.
Oh yeah. All
Some of my absolute favorite guitar players.
Nice.
All wonderful people as well. So maybe I'm a little biased, but
No, they're all great musicians. I don't know any of them, but yeah, they seem like
well, I can
lovely
attest to their
people.
character. They're awesome.
Great. Yeah, that sadly, the last Black Dahlia album.
Yeah.
What an amazing album that is.
Yes.
Venomous, man.
Absolutely.
That one floored
They
me.
pushed
That was-
it.
Yeah,
They
really,
pushed it past what I thought they could do with that
Yeah,
one.
that was
I was
great.
very
And-
impressed. I think a lot of it is owed to Brandon, quite honestly.
Yeah. I agree.
His playing is just phenomenal. And I'm wearing an Arsis shirt right now.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
of his playing in Arsis. That's how I first knew about him, and he just completely destroyed my mind.
Yeah.
Even when he was, I don't know, 18, 19,
Yeah.
when he first started, just unreal
Yeah.
how good of a player he is.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Well, and it's not just and I think this is true of your playing as well. It's not just the technique and the speed. It's also just tone.
Yeah.
Just this rich, dynamic tone.
Right.
And that's what I'm a sucker for riffs and tone and that kind of stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I love technical playing too. That's why I love Vektor. But
Right.
But I think one of the things that draws me to your music too is you just have this really wonderful, rich tone, which is very cool.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I really love it a lot, you know.
Thank you.
And I'm not a musician, but it's something I
Well, that means even
tend
more
to
than
listen to. So I listen for anyways.
Yeah.
Tone is always, as not being a player, I love tone. I love
Right.
guitar tone and just killer riffs. So
Yep.
I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
It's awesome. And that means a lot because coming from a fellow musician, it always means a lot, of course. But coming from someone who doesn't play themselves and they understand and notice those things, that is truly awesome. So,
Thank you. Erik, this has been a pleasure and an honor chatting with you.
Absolutely.
For everybody listening, if you're in Europe, definitely catch Vektor on the road. You will not be sorry. Amazing band.
now you miid be sorry. But
No.
well, your neck might be sorry. But that's it.
Yeah, your neck might be sorry. You're gonna wreck your neck. Yeah, check out, if you haven't listened to Vektor before, definitely check out Vektor. There'll be links in the description here in this interview. Check them out on Bandcamp. Download their music. Buy their albums. Buy it on vinyl. You will not be sorry. Killer stuff. So, Erik, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.